Good afternoon and welcome to Convocation. This is one of our community building themed ones with introducing our newest resident, Eric Law. Judy Baker was going to be introduced but has had some surgery which won't let her be introduced now. So she'll be introduced. We're told new residents are coming in June, so we'll do that in the fall after our summer break. Our hymn was chosen actually by my wife, Sandy. Christ is Alive. It's Eastertide number 246. Remain seated for Christ is Alive, all 5 verses, please. 246. Our reading for this afternoon is appointed for Easter 5, which isn't till May 3rd, but I liked it and I thought it was a good one. It's about the end of time and the hope that we have. Revelation 21, 1 through 6. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "See, the home of God is among mortals. He will dwell with them. They will be his peoples, and God himself will be with them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away." And the one who was seated on the throne said, "See, I am making all things new." Also he said, "Write this, for these words are trustworthy and true." Then he said to me, "It is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty I will give water as a gift from the springs of the water of life." Would you pray with me for the prayers of the people for today? We are thankful for this cooler weather, and we're thankful that we can get to know our newest resident better. Thank you for the work that Noel Gonzalez and the Resident Relations Committee of the board does to bring Eric and Steve to us. And thank you for the new policy that brings members of the National Council of Churches of Christ into our midst. Thank you for the staff, from dietary to grounds and cleaning, and administration as they work behind the scenes to make our stay comfortable and affordable. Thank you for the season just passed, for the Stations of the Cross for the first time this year, and for the new chapel. We are indeed grateful. We want to lift up your world for its healing. We thank you for negotiations in Europe to bring the wars in Southeast Congo and Sudan to a close. Bless and enable the negotiators and change the hearts of those at war. Thank you for direct talks between Israel and Lebanon in that war that has killed hundreds and displaced thousands. Bless Pope Leo as he tours Africa, and thank you for the Presbyterian presence in Cameroon during his visit. Bless the church in Africa in all its energy and need. Remember the peace of Ukraine and Iran, and help talks to happen so there will be no end to the ceasefire. Enable both sides' messengers. We also want to pray for our needs as a community. Thank you for a strategic planning process, and bless the focus groups and the feedback to the Board of Trustees. Bless those who are considering a different level of care, and enable all the staff to be present to its newest residents and its oldest. Thank you for visitors and chaplaincy in our time of need, and prosper the work of visitors throughout our campus. Yours are the days and yours are the night. May Christ, the Son of Righteousness, shine forever in our hearts as we come together to hear Eric's story and journey. We pray it mindful that you love us and desire our very best. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Eric, F.H. Law. F.H. is significant because if you want to hear his music with Apple Music, is it? All the streaming services, you need to add his middle initials in the search. But Eric and Steve have come to us from the Low Desert. As I mentioned in my prayer, he's from the Episcopal Communion, although he's blessed me as a pastor in Redlands in his consulting service, which was Kaleidoscope Institute, and we were greatly helped by him. My wife has been with him, and he greatly helped my wife's congregation too. So without further ado, Eric F.H. Law.
I pray for the world one day where no one needs to be afraid. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace as the waters cover the sea. As the waters cover the sea. Sing it with me. I pray for the world one day. Just repeat that line. I pray for the world one day. Listen to the second line. Where no one needs to be afraid. afraid. Listen. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace. As the waters cover the seas. As the waters cover the sea. Repeat. As the waters cover the sea. Listen to that last two lines. As the waters cover the sea. Get that? Cover the sea. As the waters cover the sea. As the waters, second time, cover the sea. Together. I pray for a world one day where no one needs to be afraid. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace. As the waters cover the sea. As the waters cover the sea. Then the calf and the lion shall eat straws together. The cow and the bear shall peacefully graze. Their young shall lie down next to each other. In the midst, a little child at play. I pray for a world one day where no one needs to be afraid. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace. As the waters cover the sea. As the waters cover the sea. Then the wolf and the lamb shall live together. The leopard and the kid, the fierce and the small, and the young, and they shall live, and they all shall live in harmony together. And that little child shall lead them all. I pray for a world one day, you gotta hold your own, where no one needs to be afraid. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace. As the waters covers the sea. As the waters covers the sea. You gotta really sing on your own. I pray for a world one day where no one needs to be afraid. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace. As the waters covers the sea. As the waters covers the sea. Now I'm gonna sing something else. You keep singing. I pray feel of your love, oh God. Pour your justice over me. Flood me with your power to forgive and so your peace. As the waters cover the sea. Nice and easy. I pray for the world someday when no one needs to be afraid. A world that's full of the knowledge of peace, as the waters cover the sea, as the waters cover the sea. Thank you for indulging me on that. Many of you know that I'm a songwriter, so this is one of my early songs, and actually it was written during the first Gulf War, and at that time I was the campus pastor, the Episcopal campus minister at USC, and when the war started, my student just found a way to my office. And they just converged to my office, and they just kind of go, because I've been talking about peace, and I mean, if you come week after week and listen to the gospel, you can help it, just say, this is something wrong with this war, right? And so we all converge, and we sat around and talk about how we're feeling about this, and then we asked, what gifts do we have? What can we do about it? That was a big question. And then to find out we have a lot of musicians, and because I attract them. Okay, so then I said, well, why don't we, we're still on campus. Why don't we write music together, and we sing them, and we do concerts, and we go protest and sing these songs and so on. So we wrote a whole album of songs that we're going to do another one later. And so these are the songs that we go sing protesting, so that's kind of like capture a sense of what I do. I listen to people, I capture the moment, and then we decide to do something about it. So I want to thank all of you for being such great hosts and welcoming us wholeheartedly, Steve and I. And moving is not easy. It's like the second, or if not the first, most stressful experience, right? And we come from Rancho Mirage, which is near Palm Springs. And we lived there since 2000. So we accumulated a lot of stuff in a 4-bedroom house and a full acre of land and a garden and everything. So it was really rough, So coming here, seeing all your smiling faces every time we encounter you was gold. It was wonderful. And so thank you for having your policy change. And all my friends, including Presbyterians, was saying, how did you get into that wonderful place? And then I tell them the whole story, right? And I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you, but I'm going to start telling stuff, okay? So if I'm off track, just say stop, okay? So I was born in Hong Kong. My family is third generation Episcopalian, Anglicans, and my grandfather was a carpenter, furniture maker in Canton City, which is the southern part of China, and my father loved musical instruments, and so one of his ministry was to build the outsides of pianos when they arrived in Hong Kong, because the wood wasn't holding up from Germany. So my father would create a workshop to build, and make violins and guitars and build outsides of pianos. So I grew up with music all around me. And my grandfather attracted missionaries I don't know why. No, because all the missionary needed furniture and stuff, so my grandfather just make it for them, you know. And so my family has always been connected with missionaries. And after the war, my family, my oldest half-brother literally took the last train out of China into Hong Kong. So we were practically refugees in Hong Kong. And one of the, my father got a job in a local music store, and my mother went to church, and that's where we have community. And so I've often gone to church with my mother. I was the youngest, and really, my mother wasn't just a Christmas person. She really was into Easter and Pentecost, and so on. So we immigrated to the United States in 1970, and we lived in New York City. And the first place we went was to the Law Family Association. So the Law family is not that big, so immediately we have 50 uncles. In the 70s, it was bachelor society. Women were not allowed to come to the United States because there's a quota. So for a whole generation, they were just men. And so there were all these uncles around. And the second place we went to was the Episcopal Church Mission. And so I got drafted to play the organ, which I never played before. We play piano, so I fake it, So I was nurtured through that, and we have a priest there who was a wonderful preacher in English with young people, but in Chinese he was kind of, okay. And and I was very inspired by him, that he made sense to me, and I had to plan the service with him, with the music and everything, so I was getting behind the scene. So I was pretty sure that I was going to be an engineer. So I went to school, went to engineering, graduated, and then my senior year, my pastor took me to a 5-day retreat. In those days, we go away for 5 days. You remember those days? And it was at a Presbyterian retreat house, Kirkridge, founded by John Oliver Nelson, who introduced the Celtic cross to PCUSA. And he was teaching at Yale, I think, divinity, yeah. And so he was still there, and Robert Raines was running the place. And my campus pastor took me there because he saw something in me. So I spent 5 days with a biblical scholar named Walter Wink, which changed my life. And Robert Raines and J.O.N., John Oliver, Jack Nelson, took me under their wings, and just was there for me. It was that kind of the presence, that no judgment. I mean, I grew up with judgment all my life. As the youngest kids, everybody knows everything you have ever done wrong in your life, when you're the youngest of 6. And, judgments everywhere, and then when you come to the United States, looking like I did, and to be in a space which John Oliver Nelson has created to be basically a no judgment zone, and allow the gospel to speak to us, in this wonderful space. How many of you have been to Kirkridge? Oh, if you ever been Bangor, Pennsylvania, right? If you ever go that way, I think the place is very powerful. Jack Nelson, we call him J.O.N., okay? And he went to Ireland and fell in love with Iona, and so he came back to the United States looking for an island. He couldn't find an island, so he found a mountain top that nobody wants because it was bad farming land. So everybody in Bangor thought, who's this city boy buying a piece of land that doesn't produce anything? And he said that's an island that he wanted. So he, the whole idea of that. So I'm actually was nurtured by Presbyterians and part of my formation. But then once Episcopalian, always Episcopalian. So when I 2 years after having functioned as an engineer, I decided to seek ordination, go to seminary, But that never left me. And so my ministry has always been ecumenical throughout, So ranging from Catholic to Presbyterian to Baptist, Salvation Army, I work with all of them, except for the Makers Evangelical Church. They don't know what to do with me. So that's kind of like the origin story of me. That, and I was a crazy kid who was, 14-year-old in New York writing songs about how Chinese were oppressed. And I was singing all over Manhattan in radio station, in college campus. I was 15, I have a partner who sing with me, and I have an octet, and I have a Chinese choir of 25 voices that I direct. And I have a Chinese dance troupe, okay? That was when I was 15, 16, So I was kind of a wild kid with apparently a lot of skills that I just took for granted. And so I was singing these horrible songs that doesn't rhyme or anything at Kirkridge. They still love me, I mean, it's just amazing, and they didn't discourage me, but anyway, so jump ahead, and I went to seminary in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and then after 1 year, I was so bored of this Episcopal stuff. So I sold everything and went to France and studied at a Catholic university with the Roman Catholics, and learn about ministry with sound and visual, audio visual, and further along with my music and video making and radio production in the early 80s, we were still using videotapes, and we were training people using cassette tape for mission in the middle of nowhere in, some remote, village in Africa, and helping people find their voice using media. And so I was really fascinated by all of that, and I was studying in a trilingual environment, Spanish, French, and English. And that's got me started thinking about ministry is not just in English or in Chinese. And so I came back and began to look at what multicultural ministry looks like. And after I graduated, I asked for a job in multicultural ministry, but there was none. So I ended up in campus ministry. And for 7 years, I did research, and I did a lot of workshop, and still no jobs. So I decided to create my own jobs. So I became a consultant in multicultural ministry in 1991. And within a year, I was working across the country because nobody was doing it. So that, and so that's kind of like my claim of fame for those of you who know my writing. The Wolves Are Drawn with the Lamb was the first book, and so I did a lot of consultation, and then I went back and forth between freelance consultation, and then I need real experience inside denominations. So I got a job as the missioners for congregation development, new ministry development in Canada, in Vancouver, British Columbia. I was there for 3 years, working with 88 congregations, and spent 40 hours with about 40 congregations in 3 years. So really exploring what makes a congregation viable and faithful and missional. We didn't use those words back then. And then I came back and did more freelance consultation, and then I came back to LA and became the missioner for, again, congregation development for 120 churches in the Los Angeles area. And so first time I was in LA at USC, okay, I met this guy named Steve. And, and so we've been together for 40 years and married since the second time it was legal in California. So, you know, Steve is great because I didn't want to talk church at home. So he's Jewish, culturally Jewish. So I go home, I don't talk church, which is great. It was like a great Sabbath, you know, back, you know. And Steve is an amazing person who always lands on his feet. He was in the fashion business, in the restaurant business, in making art, making jewelry, all kinds of cool stuff that he's done. Just talk to him; he'll tell you about it. You know. So, and because of his father's work in the desert, he was at one point the mayor of Cathedral City, which is right next to Palm Springs. When we came back from Canada, we were looking for something we can afford, so we ended up in the desert to be close to Steve's father. And so we've been there ever since, yeah. So in 2005, the Diocese of Los Angeles was running out of money. Don't say that I said that. This is not recorded, right? Is it? Oh no, the bishop's not going to be happy I said that. Anyway, the fact is, I stay with the facts, the diocese was forced by the committee that watch over the finance to cut staff. And they had to cut 9 staff members. And I wasn't on the list. And I went to the bishop, I said, save someone else's job, fire me. Because I don't need a job, I can create jobs. My ministry is not taking a job, it's about creating jobs. So I said, all I need is 1 year of insurance for Steve and me. And I created the institute, Kaleidoscope Institute, and within the 1 year we were self-sustaining. We were bringing in, you know, enough for a full-time position. And so the Kaleidoscope Institute's mission is to provide leadership training for churches to become sustainable and diverse and missional. Okay? I think we have a new mission statement now, something close to that. So through the Institute, we were able to expand our ministry, not just me doing it. So even though we were able to spread our ministry, you know, through Canada, and I was doing work in Australia and Philippines and Italy, and doing a lot of work in Rome, you know, under the Vatican's shadows. So that was a lot of fun. So now we are reaching into Asia. You know, we're creating a program that connect with Chinese-speaking new Christians all across the globe, actually. So, but I'm no longer the executive director. I'm the founder. A few years ago, I decided to retire, and it's the hardest transition going from the founders to, you know. So we had a little slump, thanks to Sandy, who was president of the board for a while, holding it together. I think we're in a good footing now. We're doing very well. And so since my retirement, I've been focusing my energy on writing music, So I have some professional studio recording, as Tom said, in the, on all the streaming services. And so you have to use my middle initial, Eric H.F. Law, H as in Henry, F as in Freddie. Holy Father. That's a good one, yeah. Eric Holy Father Law. And also in the desert, I was developing a network of artists. So I'm a visual artist as well. And I had a number of shows in the desert. And I do what we call relational art, which means the physical art piece is not it. It's simply a vehicle to create relationship with the viewer amongst themselves and with the art itself. So they're all very interactive. So you want to see that, you have to come to our house, C62 Howard's Old Place, and you can get to play with my relational art. And I'll be exploring in Pasadena where I can, connecting with the artist community to do that, to share with more people. So those are my new venture. And then also keeping Steve safe here, very important. And you all has been wonderful in making that happen, So anyway, I'm going to stop and it's Q&A, and then we're going to sing before we go, right? Yeah.
I just want to know if you've written any books.
Oh, yes, I have about 11 books. 11. Yeah.
Put it back.
Oh, you put it back? Yeah. And so, as I said, the first book I wrote was The Wolf Shall Draw with the Lamb, which was about multicultural ministry that people keep talking about, being diverse and want to welcome people who are different, and yet you look at the church, it stay the same, and they are frustrated about why aren't those people coming to our church, You see the language? And so I wrote a book that challenges a lot of the assumptions, and it's 30-year-old, maybe older, and it still requires reading in many seminary classes. How many of you read my book? Oh, wow, look at this. Yeah. And then I would say my second baby that I really love, I love all of them, but it's Inclusion, Making Room for Grace, is a model about how to create a gracious environment. So the question is Monte Vista Grove Home a grace margin where grace happens in this place, and I say yes, okay, so. And then the third area, which is my later books, is called Holy Currencies, which talked about 6 essential blessings that every organization needs to have, every church needs to have in order to be missional and sustainable. And it's a model being used across, missional work, interim work, and stewardship. So we don't just, so one of the things, I solve problems, that's what I do. So I go to the stewardship conference, right? So they keep saying, well, it's not just about money. It's not just about money, right? And then they end up spending a whole weekend talking about money. And so I did a workshop on holy currency for one of those conferences, and I didn't talk about money. And I talk about all the other things that make a place, make it happen, right? And the first question is, what does this have to do with money? There it is. So we're kind of stuck, and to really challenge, I love to challenge people to rethink, what about your relationship? If you have relationship, you won't be poor. If you have a relationship, you will never be homeless. If you know the truth, you will never go to war. Those are the different currency of truth and relationship. If you're well, you'll make money. You'll find ways to make your home safe. If you have time, spend it to create wellness, to create, and so on and so on. So, but anyway, so thank you for asking that. I donated a bunch of books to the library, and where's Rachel? Oh. So I wrote a little article in the next Tiding, introducing my book. So,
Okay, other questions? And if you could repeat the questions for the video,
okay.
that would be appreciated.
I wonder how many languages you speak.
Oh, I'm not good at language. I try. I speak English and I speak Cantonese, one form of Chinese. I know a little bit French, a few words in Spanish, and that's it.
What language was your Catholic seminary in? French? or-
French, Spanish, and English.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and that was, I learned so much from, because they've been at it for a while. A lot of the technique that I use in working with multilingual environment comes from there.
Thank
So, yeah.
good.
I'm interested in your multicultural ministry you mentioned earlier. How did you find churches that were interested, and when you found them, what did you do with them?
Usually I get called when they're in trouble.
Repeat the question.
Oh, the question is interested in how the people find me to help them and what do I do with them about multicultural ministry. Okay, so usually a lot of well-meaning people, a little naive, trying to bring people of diverse cultures together. So they would say, they would do the math, So there's a Korean group here that needed a place for worship. There's a shrinking Anglo congregation here that needed money. So why don't we put them together? They should be happy and pray like hell for Pentecost to happen, right? And then of course they don't get along. Before you knew it, they're fighting over the kitchen. Who get to use it when, who smells, think up what, with whom, and the children are running around while they're talking about, we want children, and when children are around, they're making too much noise because they're Koreans. It just goes on and on and on. I heard it all, right? And more complex ones are the ones that have Filipino, Spanish speaking, which has maybe multicultural within that group. They could be from El Salvador and Guatemala and Mexico and so on. And then there's the English-speaking group that is still holding on to the money and the power and the seniority of the place. That's usually what I'm working with, right? And then I walk in, so this is what I do. I ride on their goodwill. I do not judge folks. Okay, I said, this is great you've gone this far. This is wonderful that you make this commitment. Okay, don't. And then the next thing I say is, why don't we set aside some time so that you can find out where you have been and where you are now. So I usually ask them to give me like 3 or 4 hours, even a day sometimes, and then get representative from all the groups, and then we get them together and do a giant conversation that is real, not just let's have food and show us your food, show us a song, show us a dance. No, we don't do that. So we actually ask the hard question. Now, go to your language group and come back and talk about what's great about being part of this church. And then what's not so great? What are your struggles? Okay. And well, we don't go right there. We go, so what was church like 15 years ago? What is church like now? Okay. And guess what the Korean group say? 15 years ago, everybody spoke Korean. We're so happy. The English speaker, yeah, 15 years ago, everybody spoke English. Everybody was happy. Wait a minute, we had the same story. Oh, so what's happening now? Right? So when you get to the currency of truth, where each group can share their truth of their experience, things will start happening. Pentecost will happen. And then we ask the question, now what? Now we understand this. What is the solution? Give you a quick one, right? So one church says, we want, the Korean group is taking over our church. We don't like it, okay? The English-speaking group, and the Korean group has said, why don't they like us? Okay? Korean group is growing leaps and bounds. The English-speaking group stay the same, you know, shrinking by dying, okay? People dying, okay? I hate to say that, but that's true, right? So after the dialogue, one of the key moments was that the Korean says, you know, we are so grateful that we can use this church, so every time we baptize 20 people, we come to your English service and tell you about it. And the English speaker said, every time you come and tell us you baptize 20 person, we got scared. We're going to lose our church. Oh. And then the English-speaking folks says, what we really, the issue for us is that we are scared, we're grieving. We're grieving the loss. That's the truth. And we don't know how to react to this, so we act with defensiveness. So now that we say, there's an older group that's grieving the loss, and there's a younger group that want to be thankful. And they're not connecting. So what is the solution? They found a solution of adopt a grandparent. So a Korean family with English-speaking kids would adopt the English-speaking, grandparent. So they include the English-speaking folks for everything they do. Okay, you're going to learn to like Korean food, like it or not, right? And so they want to leave a legacy, and now they have legacy through relationship with the younger kid. Now I have grandkids. We want children, we have children. Does that make sense? So that solution didn't come about, I can go in and tell them about this, it won't work. It only comes after the truth is told, that we are grieving. We miss the good old day when we had to add chairs on Easter Sunday. And we got scared when you grow so fast. And then when they admit that, and the Korean group knows to be careful, not to be too cocky about growing, but to say, hey, let's make this work, and it worked, and that really works. So anyway, I am a storyteller, so I can go on forever.
Good.
I think,
Someone else.
I thought I saw someone else living in your house, kind of a furry guy.
Oh, that's Rags. Rags to riches, Rags. Rags is a 14-year-old Labradoodle, and so he's a wonderful companion, for Steve, and he follows Steve everywhere, so that's great. And so he's very friendly. So when you come to our house, he'll stay on your side, not on our side. So Dean experienced that. Rex just, love Dean.
Rex does love me. Someone else. I wanted to ask about mutual invitation. We used mutual invitation at a convocation retreat prior to planning our year. You, I believe, initiated that. Could you tell us what it is and how it helps groups do group process?
So when I came to the United States, throughout my experience in school and in church, the recurring experience is that one group keep talking, and another group, usually, darker skinned people, get shut out, and they got interpreted in all kinds of ways. It could happen in session, it could happen in presbytery meeting, even when they're saying they want to include you, they're still talking. Okay, and so I said something is not connecting. That there's some assumption about communication. So after 5 years at USC, I took a sabbatical. I was the youngest priest ever to take a sabbatical. And I read everything in communication, intercultural study, and there's not much intercultural ministry in all the denominations. There's like 5 books. And most of them are saying, pray, Pentecost will happen kind of book. and they all say why, but they don't tell you how. So I began to take communication theory and all, cultural differences and begin to create processes, experimenting with them, with my students. And I come across, so in some culture, some people do not talk until you invite them directly. I invite you, Pam, to share your experience. And that's a sign of respect. It's not putting someone on the spot. And if you say, oh, come on, everyone, just jump in and share. That's not an invitation. That's asking for volunteer. And that is very intimidating to those who need a direct invitation. So I realized so if I, the leader, begin to invite everybody, then all the power resides in me. So I decided, nope, that doesn't work either. Then I will be perceived by those who think I shouldn't have that power as a totalitarian or whatever, a dictator, right? So I created the process as a hybrid. So I invite Bryce, and then Bryce will share, and then Bryce share, after he shares, Bryce will invite Martin, and Martin will share, and then Martin will invite Rebecca, and so on. And if you don't want to say anything, you say pass, so there's no pressure, and then you still have the power to invite. If you're not ready, you say pass for now, and they will come back to you. And it's a simple process. It takes a little bit to get used to. Lawyer hates it, okay? Because people who are used to talking anytime they want to talk, say this is not right. I want to talk anytime I want to talk. But if you do that, then you never hear from the other folks. And so I recorded that. I tested it. I recorded that in my book, Wolves of Jaw with the Lamb. Within the first month of the book's publication, it makes its way to South Africa. And in the seminary in South Africa, they just integrated the seminary. And a professor found me and called me long distance and said, thank you. Pentecost just happened in my classroom. He said, I have black student, I have white student. The black student never talk for class after class after class, even though I keep inviting them, meaning, please talk, right? So he read the book, he started mutual invitation, and he couldn't shut up the black student. They would have wonderful things to say. And then when afterward he asked the student, you have such wonderful things to say, why haven't you said it before? He said, no one ever invited us to speak. Boom, there it is, right? And so the book just makes its way across the world, in its initial publication. And I didn't know that. I thought this is something I created. It worked. I just want to share it. And it's now being used all over the world. Roman Catholic sisters love mutual invitation. They would do it in Africa. They would do it in India. And they would, because it works. Because, and so on. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. It's very helpful. Yeah. Did you want to finish up with a song?
Yeah, let's do a song. Yeah.
With a song.
Where's
Betty had something.
Betty has a question.
As you and Steve were contemplating making this move and then made the decision to have this be your new home, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to in this next phase of your lives?
Good question, yeah. Well, I just want to, the question is, Steve and I moved here, what is what we're looking forward to in the coming years, you know, in this next phase of our lives. For the first year, I just want to be, you know, and I'm already reading up about poetry on roses, so I might write a whole bunch of songs about rose. No, I just want to be in a community and you know, get into a rhythm that works for us in this stage of our lives, you know. And for me personally, I want to continue to be creative, to make music and make art, and so, but it will be a little bit before I venture into that right now. So, yeah, does that answer your question? Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Okay,
Did
so, all right. So in June, is it Catherine Hughes had cornered me and asked me to do one of the convocation on GLBTQ plus whatever the initials now on pride. So I've never been asked to do something on pride and music. So come in June, and I will sing for you. I'll be doing a little history of gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual, well, whatever, that movement. Then we're going to do a little history by songs, okay? Is that going to be fun? Yeah, so do come, and I do a monthly Friday evening concert from 4 to 4:30 as a mini concert, and online, and I pick a theme. So I did one of this already, half an hour. So this month is the last Friday of the month at 4 o'clock online. It's going to be on Earth Day and Arbor Day combined. So I'm going to be doing songs about trees and the earth. So anyway, so I'm grateful that I'm already embraced by you to share what I have with you. I have a big ego, okay? So I'm an introvert, but when you invite me to do stuff, I become this, okay? All right, so, and I'm gonna crash after dinner, all right? So anyway, so this is another song we wrote for the, after the Gulf Wars at USC, and it's, you have to sing with me, okay? So it begins with this. Make us instruments of your peace. That's it. Make us instruments of your peace. Make us instruments of your peace. Now I need some bass and alto who are committed to do this all the way through. Make us instruments of your peace. For those who have slightly higher voice, we go, make us instruments of your peace. Let's try that. Make us instruments of your peace. Let's try that. Make us instruments of your peace. Those are the slightly higher voice. Make us instruments of your peace. Where's the bass go? Make us instruments of your peace. Make us instruments of your peace. That's for the real bass, for the sopranos. Make us instruments of your peace. That's from the beginning. Make us instruments of your peace. Make us us instruments of your peace. Make us instruments of your peace. Make us instruments of your peace. Keep doing it. Make us where there's hatred, let us sow love. Where there's injury, let us pardon. Where there's discord, make us union. Where there's doubt, let us sow faith. Where there's darkness, let us be light. Where there's sadness, let us bring joy. Where there's despair, let us grow whole. Make us instruments of your Make us instruments. Is in giving that we receive, is in pardoning that we are pardoned, is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Make us instruments of your peace. Make us instruments of your peace.